Hi, this is Jessica Tice again. This is the third attempt at our video for EDU 583 with Dr. Brody at Georgetown College. In the previous two videos, we were able to discuss Mrs. V and her student, some background information about her student, test scores, her writing samples, her speaking samples, and then the results of all of those. So I think at this point, the only thing that we had left to discuss were some recommendations for things that you can do in the room. And yesterday when we went over this, one of the things that you had talked about was using a type of electronic for student N to maybe help with some words that she's unfamiliar with when she's not in a reading group with you. Mm-hmm. Would you care to go over that again one more time?
Sure. We were just talking about how it would be so beneficial to have an electronic device such as an iPad where students, and particularly students that were ELL, but any student could, when reading, if they came across an unfamiliar word, they could type in the word and it would show them an image of the word, as well as they could have headphones on and it would say the word and pronounce the word, and that it would be easy to navigate to that as opposed to now having to make sure you're on images and then making sure that you click onto the pronunciation. So we were going to try to explore some type of an app and consider, you know, maybe we could even start using that on the desktops and see if we get some iPads down the road.
I think that would be very beneficial for her. We had talked about how a lot of Spanish words and English words are very, very similar, but then there are many that are not. So when she comes to something that doesn't look similar to a Spanish word that she might know, you know, she could look it up on that device and would be very beneficial. One of the other recommendations that I gave was to use a lot of visuals, and we tried to do this yesterday, show the different posters and word walls and examples that are hanging up all over the room that Student N has available.
They love those posters for journals. That's where the journal station is, just out here. So they have a quick reference of not only a picture of the animal, but also the name is written there. And there's, I mean, back in that little cubby, it's just, we change out the posters pretty regularly.
That is awesome.
And they free write. I had used to put up particular vocabulary words for them to use in their writing, and after reading Literacy for All that I read with CRIOP.
How important the pictures are to go with it.
And how important it is just to let them write without a specific use of vocabulary, because that had always been kind of dry and pointless, and they weren't understanding the word, and half the time the sentence wasn't even correct. So I love that it's just free time. You write to share. I just call it like write to share. So they write and they can draw and label and write. They can make lists. They can do whatever. And then when we go down to the carpet for share, they get to read aloud and show their work.
What they were,
and so that's much more meaningful.
And it's very appropriate for what she's able to do at this point, and then she can build upon that. I think that's a wonderful idea. I might start doing that in my room. Some other recommendations that I mentioned, definitely talking with the ELL teacher here to see how she can help modify any assignments or any assessments that you may have in the room, or any other ideas that she may have that would be helpful.
Okay.
Speaking with a speech pathologist here to see if student N might have a lisp or some other sound production error. She had a lot of ch and S sounds and T sounds that she was not making correctly.
Okay.
And then also yesterday we mentioned modeling correct speech. You know, I got to come in and watch you read to the students, and you read slowly and you read loudly and clearly so she could understand. You went over unfamiliar words, all those types of things. I think are very beneficial for her. You've already mentioned your journal writing. Those types of activities, word sorts, some quick writes that she can do, having her draw to explain what she wrote.